The court crisis in the ancient town of Owo on Monday left its wake tension and palpable fear. The crisis reportedly claimed the lives of 4 persons. Addressing journalists in Akure, the state capital, the Commissioner of Police, Ondo State, Mr. Wilfred Afolabi, who had visited the scene of the incident, confirmed that 4 casualties have been recorded so far, while 19 suspects are currently in custody in connection with the crisis.
We've been able to arrest 19, or we have 19 suspects in our custody, and that is not the end. Everyone that was involved in that dastardly act, I'll make sure that we follow after them. If they enter the well, we follow them inside the well. Anywhere they go to, we will make sure that justice is this life is precious. I will make sure that justice is dispensed over that war.
Speaking on the root cause of the incident, the commissioner stated that investigations are still ongoing and assured that the perpetrators would be brought to justice.
Investigation is still ongoing. Investigation will unveil the real cause of the crisis.
While saying normal sale has returned to the town, the commissioner vowed to ensure that the curfew imposed on the community by Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa was complied with by residents. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
Biden and supportive of government policies. Special Advisor to the Governor on Special Duties and Strategy, Gani Mohammed, during an interface with the transport workers, urged them not to allow unknown elements to infiltrate their ranks. Osrc's Said Aribisala reports that the government official announced an upward review of ticket prices, but still maintains its low status among its peers in the region.
It was a day of dialogue and exchange as hundreds of motorcycle riders and tricycle drivers converged at the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service headquarters in Akure. The operators, who had suspended their usual activities, met with representatives of the state government to discuss key issues affecting their daily operations as the state enters the year 2025. Among the government officials present was the Special Advisor to Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa on Special Duties and Strategy, Mr. Gani Mohammed. Addressing the operators, he began by expressing gratitude for their continued support for the government and their peaceful conduct.
We want to thank you very deeply. And you have been very law-abiding and you have been very peaceful in your businesses.
Mr. Mohammed also took the time to inform the operators of the government's decision to adjust ticket prices, citing rising cost of production as the key reasons behind the increase. Now, tricycle drivers will pick a ticket of 1,000 naira as against the 300 naira earlier issued, while motorcycle riders will get a 500 naira ticket as against the 150 naira hitherto issued.
We discovered that the ticketing rate, that is our ticket, the daily rate that the riders pay to the state government was no longer realistic. Imagine 150 naira as the rate they pay. We sat with their leadership in the past and we agree on this figure, and they encourage us in the leadership of the sector in Ondo State to speak with their people directly. I'm equally the chairman of task force in Ondo State. I go to feed and monitor things myself. I discovered that even the rate we asked them to take, they had started raising it themselves. I'm coming back with official rate.
Speaking alongside Mr. Mohammed was the acting chairman of the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Adebayo Rojubokon. He reassured the public transport operators that despite the increase, Ondo State ticket prices remain the lowest in the region.
The cost of paper and production generally is high. That's one.
Two, from what I said earlier, you found that we are the only one that is far behind schedule. I'm saying that Ekiti here is 850, Osrc State is 700, Edo State is 1,002, Lagos is 1,003.
While the announcement of the ticket price increase caused some uproar among the operators, some individuals expressed their appreciation, acknowledging the government's efforts to prevent the levy from becoming
Ekiti State, Lagos State, Ogun State, Osrc State, they are selling above 1,000 naira tickets.
The operators want government to ensure its ticket agents do not impose illegal levy.
Àwọn major problem ta ní Ondo State ní Àkúrẹ́ gogogan ó ní àwọn tó ń já lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó ti já ticket 215 naira tẹ́lẹ̀ wọ́n á padà dìé mú lọ́wọ́ sàn wọ́n á ní kó fún ọ lówó oúnjẹ wọn tí ò bá fún ọ lówó oúnjẹ wọn problem ni.
The Ondo State government's reassurances seem to have struck a balance, with operators appreciating the careful consideration of their needs. Sahira Aribisala, Osrc News.
Committee of the Ondo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC visited Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa to express their condolences over the passing of the secretary to the state government, led by the state chairman at the House Akure. Adetime sympathized with Governor Aiyedatiwa and the Oluwatoyi family, describing the late SSG as a dedicated and loyal party stalwart whose absence will be deeply felt. In his remarks, Governor Aiyedatiwa appreciated the APC leadership for their support, assuring that the state government will collaborate with the family to organize a befitting burial for the late SSG. Now, Nigerians are hopeful for a stable and reliable fuel supply as government-owned refineries, including the recently revived Warri refinery, begin operations. This shift aims to reduce the country's dependence on imported fuel, which exposes Nigeria to global market fluctuations. Omoriola Ugbenji is for citizens and the economy, as well as the consensus that functioning refineries could enhance local fuel production and stabilize prices, benefiting the broader economy. The report.
In 2024, the festive season in Nigeria has been marked by a notable absence of fuel scarcity attributed to President Bola Tinubu's removal of fuel subsidies and efforts to revitalize the nation's refineries. This change has raised hopes for a stable fuel supply, reducing dependence on imports and mitigating exposure to global market fluctuations. Vice Chairman of the Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria in Ondo State, Idowu Adebusuyi, confirmed that local refineries are now operating at 60% capacity, which suggests that fuel scarcity may soon be a thing of the past.
For instance, if I'm to take Akure here as a typical example, which is the capital of Ondo State, for us to continue to have product around, to continue to have the environment wet with petrol, we must not have less than 20 trucks per day. So what we are having as of today is more than 30 trucks per day. So by implication, there's no way there can be scarcity of that product. And when now that there's competition, you can see that price has started crashing.
A social analyst, Dr. Gbenga Abimbola, welcomed the developments, highlighting their potentials to lower fuel prices and position Nigeria as an exporter of refined petroleum and enhancing its presence in the global market.
The importation will be reduced further and further. And once importation is reduced and local production is increasing, then prices will be affected positively. How? Because you will not be talking about duties, custom duties, shipping, transportation, clearing and forwarding. All these things will no longer be there. They will not be part of the prices that are being placed on the end user.
Financial experts Rotimi Ogunleye emphasized the need for government support for modular refineries, arguing that private sector involvement could further strengthen the economy.
If we have modular refineries around that are going to add value to all of this, you'll find out that all these modular refineries, whatever their product will be, plus that of Dangote, and now our refinery exports PMS to neighboring African countries, especially when the cost of delivering these products to them will reduce the cost of their pump price too in their country.
What I will advise the government now is that the modular refineries, let us not just depend on the large-scale refineries alone. If you go to Port Harcourt, if you go to Eket, if you go to Onne, modular, instead of clamping down on them, why don't you regulate them? Why don't you encourage them so that a refinery, a modular refinery that can produce even for one small village or one small city, then should be encouraged.
Nigeria is a very lucky country. We have high-level deposit of crude in different states around Nigeria. Talk about Delta, you talk about Port Harcourt, you talk about Anambra, you talk about Ondo State. All of us has crude oil deposit. So what we need to do is, if there is high demand for crude, what we need to do is to release more oil block for people to continue to tap. And there are market for the refined product, and since we have it, I don't think having crude for all the refineries, including Dangote refinery, will be a problem because we have it in abundance in Nigeria.
Overall, revamping Nigeria's refineries is seen as a strategic move towards economic diversification and growth. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
As the Hamiltons, this period stretching from late November to mid-March is known for its heightened risk of fire outbreaks due to dry vegetation and strong winds. In response to these dangers, experts recommend several precautionary measures, as Osrc Omoriola Ubenji again brings us details.
As the Harmattan season brings dropping temperatures and strong winds, the risk of fires and emergencies in Nigeria escalates. According to VIIRS fire alerts, Nigeria has recorded 16,187 fire incidents, the highest in the recent years, primarily attributed to human negligence. Mechanical and electrical engineer Olubenga Arowoshafe said many fire disasters are preventable. He recommends having fire extinguishers readily available, particularly in kitchens, to help mitigate domestic fire outbreaks.
Having used our appliances at home, maybe our radio, our television, our deep freezer, even pressing iron, it is not from the socket outlet. We haven't switched it off. We still have to unplug them from the source of supply. And the reason why this should be done is we never can tell. Our electricity supply companies can supply us with high voltage, which can still penetrate through our appliances and break out to fire. So to prevent this, we don't just switch off our appliances from the socket outlet without pulling them out of the socket outlets. Nobody prays for fire outbreak, but will be readily available to assist us in putting the fire off.
On its impact on agricultural produce, an agriculturist, Mr. Olatunji Ademola, warned against bush burning and careless disposal of cigarette butts during this dry season.
And what is the importance of the bush burning they are doing? They are just being wicked. They are only looking for bush meat, which they at the end of the time they may not even see, and they will just set bush into fire, and bush fire to the bush, and the thing starts extending and ravaging farms. Every farm. Those who normally hunt for the rats, those who normally